Today's topic is understanding the order of operations in an arithmetic expression. But before we get to that, let's spend just a second and review some terminology in computer programming. So take a look at the program in front of you. The first line is a variable declaration statement. Let me highlight it for you real quick here. All right. We have three variables, number 1, number 2, and result 1, and those are integers. So we say int number 1, comma, number 2, comma, result 1, semicolon, to declare those variables. The next two lines are variable assignment statements, where we're assigning values to variables. So we're assigning the value 22 to number 1 and the value 2 to number 2. The next line on line 10 is a assignment statement again. This time we're taking an arithmetic expression, that's what we have to the right of the assignment operator, the equal sign, number 1 plus number 2 times 10. And that value is assigned to result 1. So with that little review out of the way, let me ask you a question. What do you think will be stored in result 1 after the arithmetic expression is evaluated? And by evaluated, I mean when the computer actually substitutes the values for the variables and then performs the arithmetic, what result is stored in result 1? Well, you might think that it should be 240. 22 plus 2 times 10. Well, let's build and run the program to see what we actually get. Take it just a second. Instead, we get the value 42. So what happened? Well, what happened was we were tripped up by the natural order of operations of the arithmetic operators. Each operator has an order in which it is computed. The order for C++ and most computer languages is multiplication, division are performed before addition and subtraction. So in the expression in line 10, the multiplication number 2 times 10 is performed before the addition. So we have the value 2 times 10, 20, added to 22 to give us 42, rather than number 1 plus number 2 being added together and multiplied by 10. If we want to rearrange the order of operations or change the order, we can use parentheses. The parentheses actually have a higher order of operations than multiplication and division. So if you'll see right here, I modified the expression so that number 1 plus number 2 are inside parentheses. What that means is that the compiler will perform the addition first, then the multiplication. Let's look at the result from the program. Now we get the value 240, which is what we expected. Here's another example that will show you visibly the actual order of operations. I'm going to just write an arithmetic expression and put the operators in the order of precedence. In this particular case, the division is performed first, so 12 is divided by 2. Then that result is multiplied by 3. That result is then added to 6, and then from that we subtract 1 to get the result. Just so we can see what it is. Whoops. Let's display it. So we get 23. If we want to modify the order in any way, let's say that we really wanted to take the result of 12 divided by 2 and multiply it by the addition of 3 plus 6, then we simply put that part of the expression or the sub-expression in parentheses. That modifies the order of operations and we get a new result. So we build and run. Now we get 53. If what we really intended to do was perform the addition, then the subtraction before the multiplication, then we put another set of parentheses in the expression to change the order of operations even more. So then we're going to get 3 plus 6 to get 9 minus 1 is 8, which is then multiplied by the result of 12 divided by 2, which is 6. Let's build and run that just to see what we get. And there's the result. Let's look at one more example of how to use parentheses to modify the order of operations. Let's say we have a series of grades that we want to compute an average for. Very common computer programming problem, and it's an example we'll see many times in our lessons here. So we have the 3 grades we're going to get scores for. We declare an average, and then we assign some values to the grades. So we'll give the first grade a 74, the second grade an 82, and the third grade an 88. The average is simply the sum of the 3 grades divided by the number of grades, or 3. So at first blush, we think that is what we should do. So we're going to write out the average after we've computed it, and let's see what we get. Well, it's 185, and of course that's way wrong. What happened was, as you've probably guessed by now, grade 3 was divided by 3, and then that result was added to grade 2 and grade 1. To fix this, all we have to do is put parentheses around the 3 grades. So now the grades will be added together first, because the parentheses have a higher order of precedence than the division sign, and then we'll divide by 3. And the average is 81, which is right. So using parentheses can help you modify the order of operations in an arithmetic expression. Remember that the compiler always gets the order correct. And as long as you write the expression in the correct way, then you don't have to use parentheses. But usually, parentheses will help make the program easier to read for humans. Computer programs should always be written first for humans to read, and then second for computers to evaluate. In the next video, we're going to talk about how to use constants instead of literals in arithmetic expressions.